Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about my Sun-Moon Ascendant combination, which is Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, and Taurus Ascendant. Now, the thing is, first thing off, as far as, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant in astrology, the Sun can be the basic wants. It's more about action, and it's our inner character, who we actually are. Now, the Moon is more about our emotional needs. It could be unconscious reactions. It's more reactionary and responsive. Now, and the Ascendant, of course, is really like our outer disposition and demeanor, our facade, our astrological mask, and our projection of self and what others are going to readily see, and on a first impression often as well. Now, as far as my combination goes, well, having a Cancer Sun, of course, my true inner self, my basic wants are about are going to be connected with home, family life, emotional security, having safety and security in general. And as far as personality characteristics, I could be very nurturing, sensitive to ridicule and criticism from others, but sensitive to the needs of others as well, but yet sometimes temperamental and moody, and very emotional, very sensitive to my surroundings, and easily hurt. Now, and very protective as well, and one that might have a tendency to brood and maybe lament over things for a protracted period. Now, with the Gemini Moon, as far as emotional needs go, this could be where the emotional needs can be connected with communication, variety, expressing versatility, doing things associated with the hands. As far as the emotional side can be, well, having really manifold feelings. I say emotional versatility, maybe expressing a number of emotions, but not really having really sustained ones. And the thing, too, is the Moon in a chart can be about our unconscious reactions that may often be connected with our early childhood experiences. So if I wind up, if I say something to somebody and it's like a witty comeback or some witticism in response to something that somebody says to me, it could very well be attributed to my Gemini Moon. And what it could be too is it could have something to do with maybe something that may have been said to me, or based on some experience I had in maybe in my early childhood. It could be something that I heard a prominent family member say, or even my mother say at one time, or something similar, and I maybe wind up using that in connection with my responses. Now, going to the Ascendant, my Ascendant being Taurus, well, that's the, Ascendant is our outer disposition and outer demeanor, facade, again, as I stated before. And as far as, how I'm going to come across to others, well, I could come across to others because of this as being rather deliberate, plotting, more taciturn, impassive, stolid, showing strong qualities of perseverance and persistence, and very loyal and steadfast as far as my outward look goes and my outward personality. Now, the thing about this is what I find interesting. Okay, when you look at the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, and some of you may know, some of you may not know, how are they all amalgamated? How are they all blended in and interact with each other? Well, the thing about it is, well, the Ascendant, at least I see, and some may concur, some may not see that way. The Ascendant I see is flavoring the Sun and the Moon energies, as opposed to the other energies flavoring the Ascendant. Now, granted, they all can work together and integrate and interact with each other. But the thing is, the Ascendant is what is really that manner, style, or method you go about as far as applying the energies of the sun and the moon. So let's say I'll use my sun-moon ascendant combination as an example. Now, with the Cancer sun, my basic wants can be tied in to my emotional security, and really, really, when you look at this, I mean, Cancer sun can be about safety and security issues, and really having the emotional security, perhaps given that my moon is in Gemini, that could be tied in to something that could be communication related, such as writing or speaking. Now, this is, given that, in even short journeys, I would say as well, you look at having Taurus rising in my case, well, that could indicate that the way I go about those interests could be done in a very persistent, methodical, and deliberate fashion, in a very steady fashion, maybe with not a lot of deviation. And really, and also Saturn conjuncts my ascendant, so there's some consistency that may be added to this as well. And anyway, I think it's interesting too that, I mean, you know, these energies can work together, I believe. I mean, whether you have aspects that are connected with them or not. I mean, if you have in your sun, moon, or an ascendant, if you have like an adverse aspect being made to it, they might kind of conflict with each other and bring out negative attributes and qualities. If you have a sextile or trine involving any of your sun, moon, ascendant energies with one another, well, of course, that could be more auspicious and more flowing, and the energies can blend harmoniously together. Now, it was funny that, I mean, there's so many different takes. You could have manifold takes on, you know, my combination and others, and the fact that it's so subjective is what, and you have such a wide divergence of opinions and perspectives on this is what makes astrology, part of the reason astrology is so fascinating. Now, the sun, one time a prominent family member stated to me, making reference to my Cancer sun, Gemini moon, and Taurus ascendant, she said, well, Eddie, I think the only the thing that saves you is your Gemini moon. Now, I think what she intimated by that is the fact that Taurus and Cancer energy can be very persistent and tenacious energy. Taurus can be seen as somewhat hard-nosed and sometimes stubborn and obstinate, while Cancer energy is not really like really stubborn like Taurus, but it's very tenacious and might hold on to certain things for a protracted period. And I kind of understood basically what she was saying to me in essence by that. But I don't really, I mean, you can make that argument with that the fact that the Gemini moon would give more adaptability to that Taurus ascendant and Cancer sun, and more pliability or what have you. But the way I really see it more is the fact that I think if one of those proponents were to quote unquote save me, it would be the Taurus rising doing so over the Cancer sun and Gemini moon, because the way I look at this anyway, my perspective and perception on that is that the Taurus rising can very well ground and stabilize the mercurial and vacillating and changeable energy of the Cancer sun and Gemini moon. I think it gives me a lot more fixity in purpose and more determination and persistence than the typical Cancer sun and Gemini moon combination. However, another way of looking at it, though, is that the Cancer sun Gemini moon combo can give a little bit more flexibility and more easygoing nature than the typical Taurus ascendant. My Taurus ascendant is at 22 degrees, though. Of course, that can make it a lot more prominent and pronounced. Gemini moon, I talked about this in a video entitled The Mystery of the Gemini Moon. that it can come out stronger and perhaps more than any of the other moon signs. And I explain, the reasons that I theorized in the video. And it's also in my first house, so of course it could come out strong. I mean, I believe that planets that are in angular houses can come out stronger than ones in succeedant or cadent houses. So another interesting thing that was stated to me one time, and I think a lot of it had to do with my Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, Taurus Ascendant combination. I had a conversation one time, a fairly concise one, with somebody that I knew, I was acquainted with she works at a fast food outlet. And one time she saw me. I was standing over by a bus stop, and she looked at me for a little bit. And I just, looked back at her, and I didn't respond for a little bit. And I finally just said hello, just to kind of break that, but to basically start the conversation. And she said, hi, I said, if I remember correctly, I basically stated, I know you from the fast food place. She's like, well, yeah. And she said, and we talked for a little bit, and she said, well, it's funny that you come into the store or whatever, you come into a fast food place and you order what you want, you hardly say anything, and then you just leave and you get out. And I said, well, yeah, that's just my nature. I guess that was maybe my outer demeanor, my outward nature coming out. The Taurus Ascendant, the more taciturn and quiet Taurus rising is what she was seeing, I believe. And coupled with the fact I have Saturn conjunct the Ascendant, that could make the personality and demeanor somewhat inhibited and held back and somewhat reserved. And I think what it was is, what I'm going to get at, though, is that when I was talking to her, I guess it's kind of like your sun and moon signs, I think, will often filter out more readily when you're more comfortable with somebody. You're basically, in essence, you're kind of letting your guard down, known as the Ascendant. And then what happens is you're more comfortably able to express the astrological energies of your sun and your moon sign. And of course, that's a more loquacious and animated energy that was being expressed when I became more comfortable with her. So I think that's what was happening there. So really, the sun and the moon, I mean, all three are very strong proponents. I do believe they are the three strongest components in an astrological chart. I think the Ascendant, though, of course, comes out much stronger, at least outwardly, as opposed to the moon and the sun sign. And I mean, that is just my own take on it. But anyway, people, well, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my take on my Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon, and Taurus Ascendant. And stay tuned next time where I'm going to be giving you my Aries May 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.